Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Hello and welcome back. Today we dive deep into the electrifying developments set to unfold on Monday, November 10, 2025, where political intrigue, unexpected alliances, and high-stakes schemes collide in Port Charles. Laura's campaign faces turbulent waters. Laura Spencer's bid for re-election as mayor of Port Charles is teetering on the edge of disaster as a shocking setback threatens to derail her entire platform. Longtime supporters have whispered about vulnerabilities in her strategy, but this latest blow rumored to stem from leaked documents exposing deeper entanglements with controversial figures could sway undecided voters en masse. Imagine the scene. Laura, ever the resilient fighter with her signature blend of compassion and determination, scrambling to rally her base amid a barrage of negative press that paints her as out of touch with the city's evolving needs. This isn't just a minor hiccup. It's a calculated strike that amplifies doubts about her leadership, forcing her to confront how her personal loyalties might be costing her the trust of the community she's served for years. As polls tighten, Laura's team must innovate, perhaps launching a grassroots counter-campaign highlighting her past triumphs, like navigating the town through economic recoveries and family crises to reclaim momentum before it's too late. The Measure C election, a referendum on trust. With Election Day arriving at last, Port Charles buzzes with anticipation over the pivotal Measure C vote, a proposal that could reshape local governance by imposing stricter regulations on business dealings and public safety measures. This ballot isn't merely procedural. It's a direct litmus test for whether residents still believe in Laura's vision for a united, forward-thinking town or if they're ready to embrace change from her challengers. Key opponents like the sharp-tongued Ezra Boyle, the ambitious real estate mogul Sidwell, and the steadfast Drew Kane have ramped up their efforts, framing every vote for Laura as an endorsement of her unwavering alliance with the infamous Sonny Corinthos, whose shadowy operations have long cast a pall over the waterfront district. Boyle's fiery town hall speeches decry corruption, Sidwell's glossy ads promise economic booms without the baggage, and Drew's personal appeals tug at voters' sense of justice, especially after recent scandals. The stakes couldn't be higher. A win for Measure C might stabilize the town's finances, but a loss could embolden outsiders like Sidwell to push aggressive agendas, leaving Laura's legacy hanging by a thread as she battles to prove her independence and integrity. Forging an unlikely bond, Ava and Sidwell's rise. Shifting gears to the undercurrents of power plays, Sidwell's disdain for Sonny Corinthos reaches a boiling point, fueling his relentless quest to oust the crime boss and seize control of the coveted waterfront properties that hold the key to his expansive development dreams. These parcels aren't just real estate, they're gateways to luxury marinas, high-end condos, and commercial hubs that could transform Port Charles into a glittering metropolis provided Sidwell can navigate the legal and illicit hurdles Sonny's grip imposes. Enter Ava Jerome, the enigmatic gallery owner with a knack for survival, who unexpectedly catches Sidwell's eye during a clandestine meeting at the Metro Court. Ava's poise under pressure, her history of outmaneuvering rivals in the art world and beyond, and her own simmering grudge against Sonny for past betrayals create an instant synergy. They bond over shared ambitions. Ava envisions leveraging Sidwell's resources to expand her influence, perhaps opening a chain of elite galleries funded by his ventures, while he appreciates her street-smart insights into local dynamics. This budding partnership isn't without risk. Ava's volatile past could expose them both, but it promises fireworks, potentially sidelining Lucico's own aspirations in the process as these two schemers plot Sonny's downfall with calculated precision. Sonny's strategic huddle with Jason. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos isn't one to sit idly by as threats encroach on his empire. His laser focus splits between safeguarding his waterfront assets and deflecting scrutiny from the ongoing investigation into the Drew Kane shooting, with Michael Corinthos still under a cloud of suspicion fueled by circumstantial evidence like his heated arguments with Drew over business rivalries. Sonny pulls out all stops to reshape public perception, perhaps by anonymously tipping off journalists to alternative suspects or staging subtle alibis. This Monday, expect Sonny to seek counsel from his most trusted enforcer, Jason Morgan, in a tense, dimly lit corner of his penthouse, dissecting every angle from Michael's innocence to Sidwell's encroaching maneuvers. Jason, ever the cool-headed strategist with his military precision mindset honed from years of covert operations, might propose countermeasures like bolstering security around key properties or digging into Sidwell's financial backers for leverage. Their discussion could veer into broader territory, weighing the measure's implications on Sonny's operations and brainstorming ways to insulate the family from political fallout. It's a classic Sonny-Jason dynamic, loyalty-tested, plans forged in secrecy, reminding viewers why this duo remains the backbone of Port Charles' underworld stability. Carly's covert briefing with Valentine. On a parallel front of espionage and revenge, Carly Corinthos steps into the spotlight as she reconnects with Valentine Casadini, the suave Russian expatriate whose recent return to town stirs up old alliances and fresh complications. Their collaboration targets the elusive Brennan, a shadowy operative whose operations span international intrigue and whose stateside presence offers a rare window for disruption. Think intercepted shipments or exposed networks that could cripple his influence. Carly, drawing from her own history of bold infiltrations like her daring Steinmauer prison guys complete with a fiery red wig and accent, relays critical updates on Brennan's movements, perhaps detailing surveillance footage or insider tips from her Metro Court connections. If this exchange unfolds face-to-face, Carly might don another clever disguise, a sleek businesswoman ensemble with hidden tech to evade prying eyes, adding layers of tension to their plotting. Valentine, with his Casadini cunning and access to global resources, absorbs the intel, proposing refinements like deploying decoys or hacking into Brennan's communications. This partnership blends Carly's street savvy with Valentine's aristocratic scheming, potentially unraveling a web of deceit that ties back to larger threats facing Port Charles, all while hinting at unresolved sparks from their shared past. Young schemers, Emma and Charlotte's next move. Not to be outdone by the grown-ups' machinations, the younger generation steps up with ingenuity as Emma Scorpio Drake and Charlotte Casadini huddle to refine their clandestine operation. Following Rocco Falconderi's botched attempt to snag Britt Westburn's key fob, the mishap involving a slipped note and a near-miss security sweep, the girls pivot with renewed determination. Brainstorming in a hidden nook at the park or school library, Emma, inheriting her parents' tactical brilliance, suggests tech-savvy alternatives like a DIY gadget to clone the fob remotely, while Charlotte, with her Valentine-esque flair for deception, advocates for social engineering, befriending a lab assistant, or staging a distraction during a tour. Their plan, aimed at accessing restricted labs possibly tied to medical breakthroughs or family secrets, showcases their precocious talents. Emma's analytical edge ensures feasibility, and Charlotte's charm handles the human element. Rooted in their adventurous genes, Emma from the spy-laden Scorpio lineage, Charlotte from the dramatic Casadines, this duo's scheme promises clever twists, stealthy executions, and perhaps a triumphant breakthrough that echoes the show's enduring theme of legacy and mischief. Next, we will dive deep into the chilling twists surrounding Anna Devane's latest ordeal, where shadows from her past refuse to stay buried. Anna Devane has danced on the edge of peril more times than most could endure, her career as a WSB agent forging her into a woman of unyielding resolve. Yet this week on General Hospital, even her seasoned instincts couldn't be dismissed as mere paranoia. A persistent unease gnawed at her core, reminiscent of the primal warnings that once saved her life during covert operations in Eastern Europe. She dismissed it initially as lingering echoes from old wounds, the loss of loved ones, the betrayals that scarred her soul, but the sensation intensified, coiling tighter like a spring ready to unleash chaos. In a quiet moment of vulnerability, she confided in Jason Morgan, her trusted ally whose pragmatic gaze often grounded her whirlwind thoughts. "I can't shake this feeling that Caesar Faison is out there, somehow defying the grave," she admitted, her voice laced with a tremor she rarely allowed. Jason, ever the voice of reason amid Port Charles storms, suggested it might be a ploy by her adversaries, exploiting the one chink in her armor she could never fully mend. For a fleeting second, Anna nearly convinced herself it was just mind games, a psychological jab from foes who knew her history all too well. But as she slid into the driver's seat of her sleek black sedan, drawing in a steadying breath, reality shattered her illusions. A gloved hand clamped over her mouth from the shadows, the scent of chloroform flooding her senses. Darkness swallowed her whole, and when consciousness clawed its way back, she found herself restrained in a frigid, dimly lit chamber, wrists bound by cold metal chains to a rickety wooden chair that creaked under her weight. The air hung heavy with mildew and despair, a far cry from the polished world of Port Charles. Then, crackling through a hidden speaker, came a voice smooth yet sinister, accented with that unmistakable Danish lilt, warped by electronic filters into something unnervingly familiar. It wasn't just a sound, it was a specter reborn, pulling her back into the abyss of her nightmares. Caesar Faison, the man who had haunted her every step, seemed to whisper taunts from beyond the veil, his presence as invasive as ever. The saga of Anna and Faison stretches back decades, a toxic entanglement that redefined obsession in the annals of General Hospital lore. From their early encounters in the shadowy corridors of international espionage, Faison didn't merely pursue Anna. He orchestrated symphonies of torment tailored to dismantle her piece by piece. As a high-ranking operative in the DVX, he viewed her not as an equal adversary, but as a prized possession to claim at any cost. He infiltrated her personal life with surgical precision, once assuming the guise of Duke Lavery, the man Anna loved deeply, to burrow into her heart under false pretenses. That deception alone fractured her trust in those closest to her, forcing her to question every alliance in a world built on lies. Faison's depravity knew no bounds. He orchestrated the abduction of Robin Scorpio, Anna's cherished daughter, holding her captive as leverage in his grand illusions of control. In one particularly harrowing chapter, he attempted to gift Anna with a child not her own, a kidnapped infant symbolizing his warped vision of family, which only deepened the rift between her duty and her maternal instincts. These acts weren't random, they were meticulously planned strikes against her psyche, embedding his influence like thorns in her memory. Anna's professional triumphs thwarting global threats, navigating the Casadini family's web of intrigue were perpetually overshadowed by his machinations. He puppeteered events from afar, allying with figures like Liesel Obrecht, whose fanatical loyalty kept his ideology alive long after his supposed demise. Even in death, certified by autopsies and sealed in official records, Faison's shadow loomed large. Remnants of the DVX organization whispered his strategies in hidden enclaves, while the Casadines occasionally invoked his name in their power plays. Anna's existence intertwined with his like vines in a deadly garden, each twist pulling her deeper into isolation. No therapy session or loyal friend could fully excise the poison he injected into her life story. Now strapped to that unforgiving chair in her makeshift prison, Anna's mind races through the labyrinth of possibilities as the voice drones on, reciting fragments of their shared history with eerie accuracy, details only Faison could know, like the coded messages they exchanged during a botched mission in Prague back in the 80s. Her heart pounds against her ribs, a mix of fury and fear surging through her veins. This isn't a crude impersonation. The modulation captures his sardonic pauses, the way he elongated vowels to savor his superiority. It's as if the universe of General Hospital has conspired to resurrect her greatest foe, testing the limits of her endurance once more. But in true soap opera fashion, the revival isn't straightforward. Port Charles has a storied tradition of blurring the lines between reality and fabrication, from elaborate disguises that fool even the sharpest eyes to outright resurrections that defy medical logic. Faison's end came violently, his body riddled with bullets in a climactic showdown, yet echoes persist. Perhaps a surviving DVX agent, driven by unfinished vendettas, has scavenged old tapes from Faison's hidden lairs, those cluttered with blueprints for mind-altering serums and dossiers on his rivals. Or maybe Obrecht, ever the mad scientist, preserved samples of his essence in a cryogenic vault, blending them with experimental tech to simulate his essence. Anna strains against her bonds, her spy training kicking in as she scans the room for weaknesses. A loose rivet in the chain, a faint draft suggesting a ventilation shaft overhead. Her thoughts drift to allies left behind, Jason mobilizing his network, perhaps enlisting Sunny Corinthos street smarts or even reaching out to the elusive Robert Scorpio for backup. The voice taunts her progress, predicting her every escape attempt with prescient mockery, forcing her to confront not just physical captivity, but the mental chains Faison forged long ago. What elevates this plotline to spine-tingling heights is the potential for innovation in General Hospital's arsenal of supernatural sleights. The show thrives on cerebral horrors. From the DVX's infamous brainwashing protocols that rewired agents' loyalties during the Cold War era to the memory implants that swapped Drew Keene's identity with his twin brothers, leaving psychological wreckage in their wake. Masks and prosthetics have concealed villains in plain sight, turning trusted faces into harbingers of doom. So envision a scenario where Faison's voluminous journals filled with ramblings on psychological dominance, sketch diagrams of neural interfaces, and audio logs of interrogations fall into nefarious hands. A rogue operative, perhaps a disillusioned WSB defector named Victor Sidwell, uncovers these artifacts in a forgotten Swiss bunker. Using cutting-edge AI harvested from black market tech, he compiles a digital phantom, an algorithm that replicates Faison's speech patterns from intercepted calls, his manipulative rhetoric from declassified files, and even simulated responses based on predictive modeling of Anna's reactions. This isn't a flesh and blood return. It's a virtual predator housed in a secure server farm broadcasting through hidden speakers to erode her will from afar. Cheaper than cloning, more insidious than a doppelganger, this digital specter thrives on electricity and data streams, infiltrating Anna's defenses without ever needing to breathe. It could evolve, learning from her resistance to deploy personalized barbs recalling the night Faison cornered her in a Vienna safe house, or the betrayal that cost her a partner. As Anna pieces together clues in her cell, maybe she spots a flickering monitor in the corner, displaying glitchy feeds of her past selves, a holographic tease of the AI's capabilities. This twist aligns perfectly with the show's penchant for high-stakes mind games, where enemies weaponize memories as effectively as guns. In the broader tapestry of Anna's arc, this confrontation promises to unearth layers long dormant, forcing her to reconcile with the woman she was before Faison twisted her path. Port Charles buzzes with speculation. Will Jason's investigation lead him to an underground lab where this digital monster is being fine-tuned? Could Robin, now a brilliant scientist in her own right, decode the tech and expose its creator? Or might the Casadines sense an opportunity in the chaos, ally with the perpetrator to settle old scores? Anna's captivity isn't merely physical. It's a portal to reevaluate her vulnerabilities, perhaps prompting a heartfelt reunion with family or a renewed bond with Valentine Casadini, whose own history with Faison adds ironic depth. As the voice fades into static, leaving her alone with her thoughts, Anna steels herself, whispering affirmations of survival drawn from decades of battles won. This chapter in General Hospital isn't just about fear, it's a testament to resilience, where even the ghost of a monster can't dim the fire in a heroine's eyes. Stay tuned, SpoiIers fans, as this digital dread unfolds, promising twists that will keep Port Charles on the edge of their seats for weeks to come.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.